In this video, I brought on A2P and GHL expert Jake Smith to show you guys an exact step-by-step walkthrough and process to get approved for A2P campaign registrations every single time. If you're like most people, the last few months have been absolutely disastrous. Getting campaigns denied, not being able to send text message marketing for your people, not being able to do DBR, database reactivation campaigns for your clients, and all of this stress can be simplified and alleviated by following this guy's process. We did it for ourselves, got approved in 48 hours. We've helped other clients use the same process now to absolutely replicate it and get approved pretty much every single time. We not only go through that, but we go through specific different campaign type walkthroughs. He does a lot of Q&A for very specific troubleshooting issues to make sure you get it, and you're going to get some templates and stuff along the way. So without further ado, let's go over again. This is a walkthrough, a step-by-step guide on how to get A2P campaigns approved every single time. Let's dive in. We've been sitting around talking to one another for months, and I hear the questions. I see the stress. I see the people saying, how am I supposed to do a database reactivation campaign now if I can't even get a damn number to work? I see the people saying, but they gave me a 1-800 number, and now that 1-800 number doesn't work anymore. I see all of that stuff happening every single time we're doing trainings. And so what I've done for you guys is bring a guy that I see get tagged all the time in high level, Jake. Okay, and he was nice enough to let us see and use a guide once, and that guide literally got us to pass our A2P in, 48 hours. I think it was done when everybody else seemed to be waiting weeks. I don't know if that had to do with what we did, but it sure seemed like a hell of a coincidence that it was like that and it was done. And so as always, when we see people who we vet ourselves and use the thing ourselves and we see that it works, we always want to try and bring them over so that we can let you guys also get that going. All right. I promise you guys, if you listen to Jake and you do the thing that we talk about today, it's going to be simplified. It's going to be easy. So take the distractions, put them to the side, take out your pen and paper or however it is that you do notes and get ready to do more notes. Okay. I want you guys to really pay attention. Otherwise, I tell you guys, as I always say, if you don't know who Jake is, if you haven't seen him been tagged in the A2P post, then I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we vetted the guy. He kicks ass at this. We wouldn't bring him otherwise. Jake, do you want to kind of give a little introduction of yourself beyond what I've done here before we get into it?
I'll give you guys a brief introduction. I'm just a fellow agency owner, fellow Go high-level user. We have 3 agencies, a lead gen agency, and then we did a ADA and WCAG compliance agency. So I'm familiar with, how these people review compliance and what they're looking for. And then obviously I have the software agency. We're all agency owners here. And we have a little over 100 users. So we had to create a process to pretty much streamline this. And we went through everything that you guys did just a little earlier of, a lot of trial and error and fails and learning what they wanted to see and creating lists. And then it seems that we ended up creating a process and an understanding of how A2P is and what they want. And we've been providing that with people, and they've been getting pretty great results. The earliest we've had is 15 minutes. That's obviously what I'm hoping this approval process gets to in the next few months. But on average, 48 hours if they follow the steps correctly. So that's a little bit about me.
Let's dive into it, guys. I'm kind of interested in this one myself. So I kind of want to just kick it over to you, Jake, and we'll keep letting people in, and let's dive in, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I want to start on, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm going to try to give you guys everything just that you need. And then if you have additional questions, make sure, again, as Cody said, put them in the chat and I'll get to them. So first of all, most people actually don't even know what A2P is. It's application to peer. So application to peer versus P2P. So when me and you guys text, we're P2P. And when a business talks to a peer, that's A2P. So when telephones came out, we knew that they were going to be utilized for business, but SMS wise, it wasn't foreseen that they were going to use it for business. So I know a lot of people get frustrated with this, but if you study history, we've pretty much had 30 to 40 years of unregulated SMS text, which has turned into 40% of all text messages being scam, and it's costing the American people about $10 billion a year. So I know that it's very frustrating, but I like to share this perspective to people just so that they have an understanding of why this is taking place and in a way why it is essential. Now, understanding that, we're going to go straight into how we are going to apply ourselves, right? It seems complicated. I'm only, let's say, 50 hours ahead of you guys, 50 read articles ahead of you guys, and thousands of trials and errors ahead of you guys. A simplification process of understanding what A2P is three things. It's your business profile, it's your brand, and it's your campaign registration. Now, I'm assuming that all of you guys have attempted it. Some of you guys have probably had success and failures. You guys have probably seen the pattern of a business profile is rather easy to put in. Brand is typically simple to get approved, and where most people are having the problem is with the campaign registration. So with campaign registration, I say it's real simple. All you need is a checklist. The problem is, and from what I've experienced, is people's standards for being thorough and having an established business is what gets people in trouble. So people are trying to rush through this process, which I totally understand, because your clients need to send out messages and make money. I get it. But if I could stress one thing, and if one thing were to be my line for you guys to take from this, it's that it is serious. Like, one of my agencies is compliancy, and if you try to make a shortcut, it's going to bite you in the end. It always does. So if I could actually have you guys slow down to get everything that you need and then apply it seriously, I assure you, you'll have a better outcome in the end. So the first thing I want to show you guys is pretty much how this layout works. I'm a visual learner myself, and if I don't understand the path, then I don't know the direction to go. And if I got a destination in mind, I want to see it. Okay, so there's a few things that I want to stress here. So we are campaign service providers. It's a fancy word for users, and we go through what's called direct connect aggregators. Now that's go high level, that's Close, HubSpot, Salesforce. I've gone through the process on all these platforms. And obviously, most of these are integrated with a mobile network operator. Most people are familiar with Twilio. There's a few other options. But what I want people to understand, because it's a message that I've been trying to get through to people, but it doesn't seem to stick until the pain hits them, is right here. So the TCR is a campaign. It's the campaign registry. Okay. So when you guys apply for, A2P approval, all you're really doing is sending that to this very small, in a way, organization called the TCR, the campaign registry. They are the ones that are going to approve you for A2P. And once you get A2P approval, a lot of people will celebrate. But from what I've seen from most of the stuff that's out there, as far as guiding you to be A2P compliant, is they're only trying to get you approved. They're not trying to get you long-term appliant. And what I want you guys to see is, once you are done registering and are approved, then you got to play with these big boys. And what these big boys are going to do is they're going to evaluate every SMS that you send out. Obviously, it's going to be millions, so you can fly under the radar. I've talked to a lot of people that are trying to fly under the radar, but eventually, if you do anything that's not compliant, you're going to get reported. And once you get reported, you're going to get flagged. And once you get flagged, you're going to go into review. And then what these big boys are going to do is they're going to come back to the TCR. They're going to review your application. And if you are anywhere outside of your application, you're going to get filtered, you're going to get blocked, or you're going to get failed. It happens all the time. And that's what I would like to avoid, it not happening to you guys. So we created this process. This one says Twilio. It's all the same. Remember, guys, we're only applying to the TCR. So Club, or Close, HubSpot, GHL, Twilio. It's all the same process. It's all going to one person. So what I did is I went to the campaign registry. I actually was able to write a lot of them on LinkedIn and finally get into contact with one of them and understand what their review process is, which gave me a little insight. And then we put together this PDF. And what I want to show you guys on this PDF, it's very straightforward. I'm hoping that some of you, and let me know, by the way, if some of you have been guided to an example where, for instance, the campaign use description was 1 to 2 sentences, you're going to see the level of thoroughness and being specific that I want you to do. And again, I understand that it's more work up front but ideally we are front loaded working people. So we do the work up front so that we are just done with it in the long term. So I'm going to dive in real quick. I'm going to go through it quick, but like I said, there's really only three things, guys. There's the business profile, registering your brand, and campaigns. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Those are the three. I can actually give you guys a nice disclaimer and compliant cheat sheet for the people that are here, and then whoever you want to share it to. Just remind me, I'll send that to you at the end of this video. If you guys really want to simplify this process, there's two methods of brands, right? There is EIN and there's non-EIN. But again, just go back to the simplification of it, of there's a brand. Okay, and you obviously need more information. If you're an EIN, simplify it, get a W-2, get a W-9, get a CS 575 file, just so you know that this is the business information that the IRS has, and that when I submit it, it's going to be completely identical to what they have. So when they, or if they have an automated process, it gets no flags. It doesn't have, it can just get straight pushed through. They go, okay, this person's registering this matches our records, brand is done. This is all straightforward. I know you guys all know this, right? Legal name, business address, identity, type, status. This is just a little cheat sheet. I'll leave it right here. You guys can screenshot, maybe I'll provide it over. Very simple information, right? So proceeding, that's it. That's pretty much business profile, done with it. Without EIN, obviously you don't need as much information. It's just this, it's your information, right? Now, I do want to stress, because I think I saw in the question somebody was talking about UK. I'm not in the UK. I wish I could help you guys more. Everything that I'm saying right now is primarily US and Canada based. I am working with people that are in Brazil, the UK, a lot of other countries, trying to help them and create a process. But I just want to pause here and say everything that I'm referring to as far as my confidence in the process is US and Canada based. So if you are from out of the country, just write a question, say where you are, and then maybe we'll be in contact, because I am working on other processes. So brand's done, business profile, very simple. There's a lot of information in this PDF, so I'm just going to skip down to the stuff that I would say is valuable to you, but I made it real thorough because I need people to, go through it and be confident. So here we are, registering our brand. Let's go here. This is the monster, just so you guys know. If you've been through the process, you know that this is the monster.
Okay, real quick, before we skip over those parts, is there anybody that has questions about the registering your brand or the registering your business? Has anybody run into any issues specifically with those two parts, or is it mostly always been the campaign that you're running into these issues for? Like which specific area? If it is mostly the campaign, we'll move right along to it, but I want to make sure you guys get your stuff together. So drop it.
It's a fair question. I've just experienced more campaigns, so.
Yeah, okay. Diego says, see above on brand issues. Let's see what he said. Hold on. Can you just, my client has an umbrella corporation and 5 brands, which with domains and support emails for each domain. The A2P asks for business name, but I've heard they will fail if you don't have a business name for the doing business ads that is verifiable.
Okay. So DBAs, right? It's a very frequent one that people talk to. And then I'm trying to think if I have a DBA open that I can show you guys. Think of it this way, right? So inside the GHL software, you're in the sub account, you go to the settings, you pull up your business profile. In this business profile setting, you will put the business's information, not the DBA. Okay, so the stuff that goes in the business profile in your settings, that is the actual, if you have an EIN that has multiple DBAs, the EIN's information.
I got it. I'm muting them. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, John. If you have a question, just throw it in the chat. So again, if you have a business, whether it be sole proprietor or EIN, and then you have DBAs, the DBA information does not go in the business settings section. The DBA information is going to go into your campaign registry information. So when they say, hey, use an example of your website, you're going to use that URL, send them to your DBA, and then make sure that on your DBA funnel or website page, on the bottom, you claim that business. You say, this is a DBA under that business. So I'll pause there. Do you guys have any questions about the DBA?
So Diego says that makes sense. And I actually like that he brought that up because the doing business as thing is something that's come up a few times. So I
It
actually
is. It
love that
is.
that was
Yes,
brought up.
absolutely.
That makes sense. So, okay, cool. Any other tips on that, Jake, or is that cover it? That seemed like it covered it pretty thoroughly for me, but is there anything else that you'd want to touch on that point?
I'll just recap it just so everybody understands. In the business settings, that's your actual business. In the campaign registry, when you put the URL, you're going to use the URL of the DBA, and then on all DBA pages, mention that it's a DBA owned by your business.
Erica says unable to register brand with the campaign registry. Please contact support. I think for that, Erica, we might have to, maybe we can do a share screen and you guys can show a couple of your fails and we could maybe take a look at what we would do to troubleshoot it. But without looking at that, that's just a generic kind of this failed message. I don't know if we'd have to look at it. No, Jake, or is there anything you can discern from that?
Not from that. And then
Yeah.
I'll mention on that too. We actually the name of the game became like pattern recognition, right? What's working, what's not. And then I think me and you, Cody, did this. We did some split tests, and I've done a lot of split tests with other people. And what worked for some didn't work for others, right? And what didn't work for others worked for some. And so we were curious about what that variable was. And that variable became to us was the manual reviewer. So we actually started to edit our process to make it super simple for whoever reviewed it to not miss whatever they needed to see. So I understand if anybody's going to like send me the failure reason, I just want to throw this little asterisk on top of it that might not actually be the reason you failed. I know it's super unfortunate, but we've done thousands of registrations now. Even when we got something that would say like no privacy policy or no terms and conditions, and we obviously had it, we would just resubmit the same thing, not change anything, and then get approved 48 hours later.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. We've encountered a lot of very similar stuff. So, all right, last one on this before we move on to the next section. Mark says, what about this? We work with a corporation that owns dentist offices. They have one specific name, but each sub account in GHL is under the name of the specific practice itself. Should I use the sub account info or the corporate info when we're actually registering this for A2P?
Okay, so let's see. Kind of. So when I see that, when I see, corporate info, are each of the sub accounts different practitioners?
He says, yes, they are.
Okay. So this happens a lot in real estate and what you would do in the business settings, right? So it's the same business. We're going to go back to that whole DBA expression. In the business settings, those will be the information of the business. And then what we recommend, we did this a lot with real estate agents, is like Century 21. Obviously, these realtors aren't Century 21, so they can't do Century 21. What we would advise is the agency owner to create a templated page, could be funnel, could be website, and it's going to be, their own unique domain, and they will use the information of the business, but they're going to use the templated funnel that's A2P compliant, and it's going to say, Century 21 by jakesmith.com, and that page will be A2P compliant. And it's real simple. I know it sounds like, I have to create an entire website. Just create a funnel, show the business what they do, their face, have a form on there with a form disclaimer. Just take the privacy policy and terms and conditions of the business that you work. It doesn't need to be a lot. It just needs to be something for the reviewer to land on, see that it's an actual business, see that you're being A2P compliant, and seeing that if they give you their information, it's going to be used correctly.
All right. Mark says that makes sense. So cool. I think that's good for branding. I think that's a good couple of different use cases and all that kind of stuff. So I think we can move on to the next, part now if you want.
Now, I would say that this campaign registry, from most of the people that have gotten back to me or most of the failures that we experienced in the beginning, this is the challenge, right? Oh wait, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me fix that for you guys. Sharing. Everyone can see it?
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. So this is the problem that most people have. They get the other two approved, but they fail here. Now, where I think most people fail for most of the stuff that, I consumed and used was oversimplification, and you'll probably see a difference. So here, this is just information, checkpoints of things that you'll be doing. And I could expand on it, but I think I'll leave it out. I don't want to overwhelm people. I do like teaching people about the mechanics of it, but I'm gonna leave this one out. Okay, this is going through the actual process. So we've all seen this in different forms, right? If you're not on Twilio and you're using Lead Connector or HubSpot, they ask these same questions, right? Campaign description, and give us 2 samples of each. With these 2, the embedded links and phone numbers. So I'm going to show you the examples. They are long, they are thorough. I advise you guys to be long and thorough. And not only do I advise you to be long and thorough for what you're doing right now, but be long and thorough for what you're going to do in the future. So a lot of people will go, oh, like, we don't send embedded links. A calendar link is an embedded link. Sending your URL is an embedded link. And then some people will say, like, oh, well, we don't send phone numbers. Well, if you send any phone numbers to anyone and you get flagged and the carriers recognize it, they'll go back to the TCR and they'll shut you off. So you're always going to be submitting for future you, if you will. Let's pop down. So you're going to see this. I'm gonna hide it, but I will show you guys. We're going to scan through it. But what you're used to seeing when people are advising you is, what's your campaign use description? Well, it's, what do they say? The sentences are like, we use this campaign for appointment booking, contacting, customer support, etc. That's not what these people want to see. It's too broad, it's not specific, and you're making it hard for the reviewer. So what we did, you'll see, this is pretty much everything that Go High Level can do, because I want to cover everything that I'm doing currently and going to do. So whether it be form submission, confirmation responses, appointment reminders, direct responses, invoice links, direct marketing promotions, database reactivations, client support, internal notifications, 2-factor authenticator, and then even a note for, if they just scan it, which obviously, like, each section has their own description. If they want me to be specific, it's just a note of what we are doing, a nice overview, if you will. So it's long and it's thorough, but me as a reviewer, if I were to see this, I just scan it. I go, oh, I know exactly what he's doing. And then you have to give them sample messages. So sample messages, a lot of people would say, I have forgotten what other people would put. But the only things that you have to do here is the blue is okay, the red you have to change. So you have to mention your company, okay, on these messages. And the first ones always have to say reply stop to be unsubscribed, and that data rates will apply. Those always have to go on your first messages. But you'll see, it's very generic. Name, team member, company, we received your information, calendar link example. Second one, automated message from company, your form got filled out. That's the most frequent one, is forms being filled out. So we use this. And if you don't use these, like if you actually have a sample message that you currently use, curate it, like make it your own. It does work better. And actually, I should probably pause here. This goes over what I said. The messages will be included embedded links. Make sure you guys hit that for long-term use, even if you're not using them now. So let me pause here, see if anybody has some questions.
Okay, let's see. We did have one in the chat.
Okay.
I don't want to, I don't think this has to do with what you just said, but it's just a question. So I don't want to register a new number for every campaign. Should I provide as much info to cover all possible campaigns?
Okay.
Future,
So,
or yeah, that's basically.
I can answer that one. That one's a very common misconception. That's actually one of the details that I was going to go over, but just skipped over. So you have the TCR, right? We are submitting to them our business profile, our brand, and our campaign registration. Now, what a campaign registration is, it could honestly be a nightmare, guys. So when you dive into the books, if you're a big company doing like high volume, as in millions of messages a month, they actually want you to create one campaign per objective. We don't have to do that. So most of us are low volume mixed, if you will, meaning we're sending less than 6,000 segments per day. So to answer your question, you can have one campaign, which is low volume mixed, That low volume mixed allows you to have a mixture of all the campaign objectives in that one campaign. And then you can have multiple phone numbers under one campaign. So I believe that answered your question. You can have one campaign and multiple phone numbers under that one campaign. And that one campaign covers everything that you are utilizing because it's a low volume mixed campaign.
Perfect. Chris is asking, although I'm a UK business, I use a USA number. Does that change anything?
Sorry, what was the question? Although I found it.
Yeah.
Although I'm UK business, I use a USA number. Does that change things? So although I'm a UK business, I use a USA number. Is that your personal phone number or is that your business phone number?
GHL business number, he said.
Okay. So, and you're asking if you need to A2P register, because I mean, I'll answer it broadly and it'll answer your question specifically. So A2P was obviously originally designed so that US companies talking to US civilians have to be registered. And then it became anyone talking to US civilians has to be registered. So it doesn't matter if you live outside of the UK, but if you're using a US phone number to talk to US civilians, you will have to be A2P compliant.
Yeah. And then right above that, Mark actually had a follow-up to the other one. I'll look into this, but how do I have multiple numbers for one campaign? So you said, yes, you can. I guess he's just asking, how would you have multiple phone numbers for one campaign?
Yeah, so I don't know if they've brought it onto the GHL platform. They were doing it automatically. In Twilio, it has a better visual representation of what it looks like. So in Twilio, I'm guessing you guys are all on GHL. How it looks is business profile, that gets approved, brand, that gets approved, campaign, and within campaign, registry is your campaign message. And then you'll go in there and you'll actually have to assign a phone number to that message. To my understanding, GHL automatically just associates the phone number that you have in your sub account to your approved campaign.
All right, before we dive into any more questions, is there more to go over on the rest of the process?
All right, guys. So we've done the campaign use description. We've done the sample messages. We're going to what was steps 7 and 8, and that's your end user opt-in information. So these are obviously the examples, right? Opt-in keywords, how do end users consent to receiving that information, and opt-in message. So information. Here's an example. So right here, you guys have seen these questions, right? How do end users consent? What are the opt-in keywords, opt-in messages? You'll typically see like 2 to 3 opt-in keywords here. Again, we're going for longevity. So you're not going to use just the 3 common ones. And this is an actual screenshot from Twilio and how they say, subscribe and start. Unfortunately, they don't really guide you for longevity. It is truly unfortunate. So if we scroll down, I want to show you what we're using, right? Here is how do they opt in. Now, we're agency owners. There's tons of ways to opt in. Most people just say the name, like website form, SMS text in with no examples. Don't do that. Be thorough, have it be long. So website forms, make sure that you have your company's www domain in there, have the company's domain in there. You'll see a very common thing of actually mentioning your company's name in all of these, because you want to show the reviewer that you are saying, like, this is who we are, this is what we do, and your information is safe. I don't just put your domain here. I say use www. Show that you are a secure website. These small details are what change it from failed to approved, from instant to manual review weeks. So we've got website forms, chat widget, appointment booking, text message. Include the phone number that you have there. Show them that that's where they text. With the opt-in keywords, they gave you a character limit for a reason. Use everything that you have. I just generated, what are the most common ones that people utilize for things. So subscribe, start, learn more, start, whatever. What I don't want is I don't want to have a keyword, use it, which obviously we write sentences sometimes for CTAs, but bear with me. I don't want the carrier to go to the TCR and say, that wasn't one of the words. Now you're filtered. Now you're blocked. I have, tons of confusion. Avoid all that. Put a lot. And then the last one, and this one is what I think a lot of people actually fail on, is you always get that your opt-in message, wasn't, I forget what the actual verbiage is, wasn't good enough. And what we found out is you didn't have your company name, you didn't state your company website, and you didn't have your phone number. So we give it all to them, right? We give them every reason pretty much not to fail us. And then after that, last ones, this is actually a Twilio one, if you will. This isn't applicable to GHL. GHL actually does a good job on doing some of the work behind you guys. So that's the campaign registry process. So I'm gonna pop back over, see if you guys have any questions.
All right, so let's dive in. I think there was a couple more in there.
All right.
Let's see.
I think I'm going to scroll all the way back up real quick because I know some people threw in some questions. Let me see if they got answered. I don't want them to feel like they were forgotten. So somebody said, I can't do a normal number, so I had to do an 800 and I can't get it okay. So toll free, we honestly haven't given any attention to currently. It's a similar registration process. I find it to be I don't know what would be the word, just not as good as A2P. And again, I hate to say selfishly, I'm in the US, so I've been focusing on US. So we are working on an 800 toll-free process. It's not available, it's not perfected, so I'm not presenting it to people. But if you want to message me, Erica, just say like toll-free and I'll put you in that sequence. So when we have updates, I'll send you updates, but we are still working on that one. And then I have let's see. Steven said, I have a UK number and send WhatsApp and SMS and sometimes to the USA. Do I need to C3 pop my A2P? Can anyone clarify what C3 pop is? So I haven't utilized WhatsApp. Again, we just focused on A2P compliance. We've gotten all of our people approved. So I haven't gone down the WhatsApp method. Do you know, Cody?
No, I don't. I haven't played around with that either. No.
Yeah, Steven, if you could clarify what C3 pop is, I'll make my way to the bottom and see if I can answer that for you. Let's see, A2P, a lot of ones. Appreciate you guys. Got a call. Diamond Club, congratulations. Let's see, can you highlight the difference between businesses outside the US sending SMS messages? I mean, the primary difference is that I would say Twilio or the TCR, I don't know who to blame because they point the finger at each other, is they didn't create an outside of the US method like instantly. They were primarily focused on US and Canada. They launched that, and I've heard rumor that A2P is going to become applicable to the entire world. There's actually a leaked text message or email chat of it. So they are going to get on it. I'm in a lot of chats where people are, talking and pushing it, but I haven't seen anything roll out. And ironically, I've also seen people from like Switzerland or the UK like get approved, even though they were using their physical address. So I think from my better knowledge, they'll eventually get failed once they get in an actual review. But for those outside the US, I'm in a way holding my breath just as you guys. Jake, what's your last name to chat with you? So my name's Jake Smith. You can find me on most social platforms as NoJokeJ, NoJokej. If you guys have any questions, my DMs are always open for these A2P things because in a way, the more problems you bring to me, the better I get to make this. So my DMs are welcome to any of you. Let's see, now that GHL has IVR, do you still need to register multiple numbers inside the same account? Let's say you have a phone number associated to each user. Do they need to be registered as well? So we have an account with multiple users, with multiple phone numbers. All those phone numbers are under one approved campaign. I believe that answers your question. And then, okay, so my clients run lead ads. I'm okay cursing. I don't know if people want to hear it, so that's where I hesitate. I don't like to blank with landing pages and domains and all that. Dentists don't understand this stuff and it gets becoming a nightmare. However, I need to provide a screenshot of the lead form and host it on the site that is publicly accessible and aligned with the business and brand. Is there a way to verify, register for the use of lead forms without having to connect domains in GHL. It does make sense. I've experienced a lot of people that just run ads. I have a lead agency myself, and I personally have chosen the path of finding it easier to purchase a domain, $10 a year, create a one-time templated A2P compliant page, bring that across all of my accounts, give that to all the people. If you really want to get fancy, you can create custom fields for changing information inside that template so that you just change it, inside the custom field sections, and it changes it all automatically. I don't want to get too advanced. And then you utilize that. Give them a URL. I've never done the upload of the lead gen form. I just give them a form to look at because it is so much easier. So let's see. That does make sense. Best practices. Okay, so a new URL for each client. Yeah, pretty much. So if you can get like a lead form, we worked with a lead company, let's call it lead company X, go, buy leadcompanyx.com. And then for your path, just go / do the client's name, / Jake Smith, / Cody Getchell, / Chris Patrick, / Jeffrey Nevels. Like that's what we do. We buy one and we utilize it across all of them.
Though I want to just ask Jake, what do you think what would you think the most common, maybe 1 to 3 aspects are why people are getting rejected, and how would you troubleshoot those best?
Okay,
so a good question to have.
I'm gonna lay it out from preparation, process, and progress for you guys. Okay, prior to application, have a www.url. So a lot of people, when they go in there, they'll upload their domain, just domain.com. Make sure that you have the www.domain.com on there, because that shows security. Okay, it's super easy to do. On the page that you guys send them to, have a terms and conditions or terms of service, have a privacy policy, have a form on there, which, by the way, I'm going to give you guys all a cheat sheet, or I'll give it to Cody and he'll send you the cheat sheet with all these disclaimers and forms, more than you need. But I recommend if you utilize any of them to protect yourself and have the disclaimers and compliances on there. So again, www.domain, have a website. On that website, have a terms and conditions, a privacy policy, and a form on there on the page, not a click and form. Like, try to have it on the page, and then have a form disclaimer on there, a nice thorough one, because that's the manual review process. The URL that you give them, they're going to see the www instantly. They're going to click. They're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. They're going to look for your terms and conditions and your privacy policy. They are starting to look inside of those, by the way. So make sure that the hyperlinks exist and that it brings them to a page. And then they're going to look for the form. They're going to see if you ask for a phone number, and they're going to see if you say the correct thing on the bottom, which, well, like I said, I'll provide with Cody. And that'll get you that stamp of approval. And then when you go to actually registering, business profiles, just your guys' information, make sure that it lines up with the IRS. And then for your brand, again, just make sure that it lines up with the IRS. One thing that some people get stuck on when they are sole proprietors, which is now you select COOD, is it actually was a common trend that you have to use a US phone number to receive that one-time OTP verification code. If you're trying to use a VoIP, like a Google or something, then you'll never receive the message, so you'll never receive approval for your brand. Now, when you go to the campaign, just be thorough, right? Just kind of what I showed you guys, be thorough, list everything that you're doing and everything that you will do. And that'll get you approved.
Perfect. Cool. So now, anybody got some last minute questions for Jake before we wrap up? I know we went through a lot of them live because I wanted to get those on that for the group. A lot of the questions are going to be relevant. David, my man, thank you for waiting. I know I pushed off your question a couple times, so go ahead and unmute if you want.
No worries. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. For me, yeah, it's just been my nightmare. This is like the perfect topic. There's a nice, pleasant surprise. So I went through hell trying to register. I only have like a couple US accounts, and I went through hell doing it the first time. I have a new business. I'm currently trying to register through Twilio. So my first question, I guess, is it because I've heard of the LC. Is LC easier? And if I have a bunch of sub accounts and I'm using Twilio, I'm all set up. I don't really want to mess with it. Is it worth switching over to LC for future numbers, or is that going to mess stuff that's already set up? That's my question number one, because I'm like not good at this stuff at all. And then secondly, what's the quickest way to set it up through Twilio? Is it just submit? I have to have the landing page built with the form, with the terms of services box and all that already done in order for that to get approved? I'm assuming yes, based on what's been said, but previously I already had all this established and then I did it. Now I'm just starting from scratch. I just want this to be done like within like 2 weeks.
Okay. So to answer your first question, I'm going to ask you a question. This is what I always ask people when they say, where should I be, Twilio or Lead Connector? I would ask you, do you ever plan on using, or are you currently using any advanced API integration with your SMS? And I'll also now answer your question, which is, if you are not, that's really the only advantage to having Twilio, is that you have a little bit more API control. So if you're not doing it, I would always recommend going the LC route. I personally did this myself when we were at about 80 clients. The process is, I want to say, simple. It definitely depends on how active your users are daily, because what you're going to do is you're going to put a submission into both LC and Twilio. Primarily, when I say LC, I'm going to refer to as GHL. So you're going to be putting a request into GHL that you want to, transfer all your Twilio to Lead Connector, and it comes off as simple, if you will. You're like, oh, I just have to click this button and it happens. That is not the case. You will click the button, it will put in the request, and then they will advise you to go to Twilio, write their support, and say that you're doing this simple or mass transfer. And then you will have to go to the GHL support and get I forget the SCIC, it's some number for each account. And you send that to Twilio, and then Twilio does the connection. It takes 24, 48 hours. So if I were to do it again, I would write GHL prior, and I'd say, hey, I'm thinking about going from LC to Twilio. Could you please send me all the necessary numbers I need via email for this transfer so that you already have it? Then you would go, hey, I want to go from Lead Connector to Twilio, which you can do in your agency view in your phone settings with one easy click. And then you're going to get advised, write Twilio, and you're already going to have all that information. You're going to open a ticket with them, you provide that information, and in 24 to 48 hours, your phone numbers and information should be over.
Sorry, you said LC to Twilio, but I wanted to go Twilio to LC, right?
I'm sorry, that's, if I said it backwards, that is what I was referring to.
Okay,
From Twilio to LC.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure, because this stuff is like hella confusing for me. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Okay, and to answer your second question, I actually do advise people that are getting a lot of sub accounts, or at least, even 5 to 10. If you're looking at this from a longevity standpoint, we actually don't register our sub accounts anymore, because all of our sub accounts are SaaS structured. So their phone rebilling is set up. And what we do is we just provide them now with an onboarding process where they can register themselves. So we don't do it anymore. We provide them with the tools, the videos to walk through, and kind of take the accountability off us as an agency and put it on them, as long as, we provide them with the right tools.
Yeah, no chance. My clients are never gonna do that. Unfortunately, that's why I hate it, but I have to do it. That's awesome help. I do appreciate it. I would like to get more of that information. And I guess, is it normal? Like, all of my numbers, I buy them in GHL, which I assume is normal. But then when I went back into Twilio and trying to register this stuff myself, I had some numbers there that I've never actually really used. So what the heck are those for? I found a guy to do this for me, because Twilio support just completely sucks and I hate them badly, but I don't know if it's worth messing with. So I guess I wanted your honest opinion. I'm very small, very low volume, which is why it's I'm trying to simplify my life here. So if you're saying everyone seems to be leaning towards LCA, I'm just scared of the merger, but it sounds like that might be the right thing to do if I want to simplify my life.
Yeah, so this is what I like to tell people. So Lead Connector is, for those that may not know, it is just Twilio, right? It is It is the white labeled Twilio that GHL offers you. They just call it Lead Connector. So when you purchase a phone number in GHL, you're truly just purchasing it in Twilio. Now, if you see some numbers in there that you didn't purchase on GHL or aren't on GHL, I would probably say maybe those were purchased prior on the Twilio platform, and that's why they don't show up on GHL. And if you don't see them in GHL in the associated sub account, I wouldn't be fearful of deleting them. And if you do want those phone numbers from Twilio on GHL, just write GHL and say, hey, I have some phone numbers on Twilio that I would like to show up on GHL. And they're going to ask for, I forget what the acronym is, but they can put them on the page. But if you're not using them, you can delete them. It's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't need them. I was just curious as to where they were. And then trying to register my business, it was like the pain in the ass. Like they didn't recognize mine, so I had to literally do it through like one of my clients' AEN number to register. So I'm like, I don't know. It was just a cluster. It was just brutal. But no, I appreciate any clarity.
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending the time to watch that amazing training. Like I mentioned previously, my intention is for you not just to watch that training, but if you got something out of it, if you think this information is useful, I want you to continue that journey with us. And you can do that in a couple of ways. One, I want you to smash that subscribe button so that you get notified every single time we put another one of these out, which will be at minimum once to twice per week. The other thing I want you to do is go ahead and click that next video right there beside you so that you can dive in and get shit done. Hope to see you out there.